Welcome back to Will, A Wonderful World. Last time, Carlos and Kyungmin were kind of stuck. Well, Kyungmin was. Carlos, as we will see, wasn't quite so stuck. Because I managed to get all of his endings without solving whatever the hell Kyungmin's problem is. And so in Carlos's S ending, things happen. But we're going to have to hit that after we solve Kyungmin's problems anyway.
Dios, ¿qué hice mal?
하느님, 저를 용서해 주소서.
So let's take a look at Alicia and Kang Baekya. Bastards. What a lovely title for a prayer to God. Let's start with this one. My name is Kang Baekya. I'm a cop. I've been doing this for 7 years. Or is it 8? I can't really remember. Today, the old man assigned another newbie to my unit. He had always wanted my unit to become as big as Unit 1. Why did I need so many people? Detective work wasn't like street fighting. I had a headache whenever I pictured the image of so many people in the unit passing their lunches over their heads like during lunch break. And this newbie today was full of that kind of fighting for justice crap. Lunatic. Yeah, hey, that's exactly the hard difficulty we're playing this game on. Well, screw it. Whatever. I was just going to wait for a few days. Then I would find an excuse to send him over to Unit 1. Everyone would be happy then. We were always very busy. The files for the open cases has been stacking up on desks, starting to resemble small hills. Among all the police precincts in the entire Republic of Korea, Busan might be one of the top 5 busiest precincts thanks to the violent gangs in the area. The Musun Gang and the Bungmun Gang. Well, we've got 2 new dictionary terms here, and I just got an achievement. First day at school. I'm surprised I didn't get that achievement for the letter actually titled First Day at New School. The Musun Gang. The biggest violent gang in the Busan region. It mostly deals with drugs and arms trafficking. There are 4 groups within the gang: the Taesang group, the Yusung group, the Gangmun group, and the Inwoo group. The boss's most famous saying was, "As long as you're still breathing, you gotta do what you want to do." I like that saying though. Life is short. Live boldly. The Bungmun Gang, on the other hand, the only other major gang that is able to rival the Musun Gang in the Busan region. Its business encompasses prostitution, entertainment, and gambling. Entertainment is now illegal. Unlike the Musun Gang, the Bungmun Gang is less violence-prone and puts more emphasis on intelligence. One of their boss's most famous saying is, "As long as it pays, you gotta do what you gotta do." These 2 gangs never made our lives easy. Recently, the old boss of the Musun Gang had been severely ill. His underlings were all itching to become the successor. There were at least 12 people killed in infighting every day. If I kept saving up my vacation days like this, I would probably have enough time to plan for my next trip to the moon. To be to the moon. The case today was an annoying one too. It was a hostage case, but the kidnapper and the hostages belonged to the same gang. It was a so-called family matter. What was worse was that the kidnapper was someone quite important in the Musun Gang. The old man always told us to keep things easy so as to avoid a direct confrontation with the gangs. He had told me again today, multiple times, to bring the kidnapper in without hurting anyone. Without hurting anyone? If he'd really wanted that, he wouldn't have assigned the case to me. I was crawling in a narrow air vent duct. I could hear breathing sounds all around me, both loud and quiet, as well as the sound of the fans. The air smelled disgusting. I loosened my collar a little. Fuck this. I'd rather climb up from the outside of the building with my bare hands and suffocate inside this goddamn tube. Why couldn't I just walk in from the door and pop 2 shots into his head? I'd finally arrived at the top of the room. The voices coming from below sounded very weird through the vent. Stay there! And don't fucking move! All of you! Don't move! The target was sitting on a couch at the other end of the room. He kept waving the gun in his hand around and pointed it at the other one's heads every once in a while. Those poor bastards were all his underlings. None of them even dared to look up. I'd seen lots of junkies that would get so high that they wouldn't recognize their own mother. Still, the scene right below me was so unusually funny that I almost chuckled. The area below the vent was right in the view of the bay window. Anyone could easily see inside the room from across the street through that window. My task today was to lure him over. I got closer to the vent, trying to observe the situation more closely. Clang! A loud noise came from somewhere. Don't move! I heard a man's voice. A bullet flew out without me seeing it. The nails fastening the vent register had been shattered by the bullet, and it bounced off a few meters away into a corner. After a tumble and a half, I fell and smashed into the white carpet, along with the vent register. 5 meters away, the junkie was holding his gun with a shocked expression on his face, and smoke was still coming out of the dark, shaking barrel. Near my shoulder, my shirt had turned from its original red to another kind of red, and the colored patch kept getting larger.
멍청하긴.
You've let yourself get hurt again, idiot. You know, I don't believe Fluffy ever mentioned. His name is Will, but he's now officially Fluffy. I don't believe Fluffy ever mentioned if bold text is important text. Do I have to remember this too? A voice that I couldn't be more familiar with appeared in my head once again, while also sounding like it was coming from out of this world. Oh crap. I'd come back to this room again. The room was extremely dark. There was no furniture inside except for a light bulb hanging from the center of the ceiling. A slightly shorter person walked out from a dark corner reluctantly. His hair was all messed up, and his eyes didn't even look alive. As soon as he pushed me away from underneath the light, a mysterious force dragged me into the corner. I was swallowed by darkness. Whenever I was in danger, this guy would come out against my will. But a moment like this? Well, shit. What a shitty day. Whoever stood under the light would have control of the body. This story just got more fun. From this moment on, I was no longer in command of my own body. I managed to dodge all of the flying bullets coming toward me with extreme agility and inhuman postures. Insert JoJo fight scene. When I got back on my feet, I somehow had a gun in my hand. The 13 9mm bullets in the magazine were fired like a machine gun. Each one of them went through his head. Broken eyeballs splashed all over the barely recognizable face of the junkie. Everything was a terrible mess. The junkie had collapsed to the floor like a pile of mud. But now the gun was aimed at his henchmen that were still all tied up. Things were taking an ugly turn. 1 bullet, 1 life, no waste. But I hesitated when the gun pointed at a muscular guy with a tattooed head. The muscular guy suddenly swept me at my ankle with his leg. I lost my balance, knocked my head on a short table, and passed out. When I woke up, I was lying in the hospital, with tubes coming out all over my body. Minjun was sitting next to me, sound asleep. 8 deaths. As per usual, I had to write 1,000 words for each death in the report, which meant I needed to write 8,000 words. Moreover, the target this time wasn't just a regular punk. His father was the leader of gangman group within the Muslim gang, Chue Hoi, Chue Yohan. That would mean another 4,000 words at least. Gosh, my head hurts so bad. Sweet Jesus, give me a break, please. Cop? See, I was kind of prepared for for action cop. I was not prepared for multiple personalities. I'm genuinely curious how this will go. Also, it seems like he's kind of really tired of his alternate personality killing all the people because he's the one who has to write the words in the report. Not that people were killed, just that he has to write reports.
Wow, it was almost like I was watching an action movie. If only I had some popcorn.
You know, I do have a can of Coke near me. You can't watch movies without soda, right?
Don't ruin the solemn mood by suddenly thinking about popcorn! Okay, sorry. There's no popcorn here, but we do have Osmanthus cakes. Oh, that's great too. I'm not very picky. So, if I want to eat cakes while watching a movie... Oh, no, I mean, while working, is there any way I could do it hands-free?
Myth has her priorities on point.
These letters aren't like the regular letters that I can just read in front of me. I have to follow the thoughts of the writer by confirming it sentence by sentence. Stupid, lazy girl. No, there is indeed a way. If you want to free your hands to eat or do something else, all you need to do is hit A.
Wait, just now we're getting the tutorial for auto-scrolling? I'm like... I think I have to be at least 3.5, 4 hours into the game at this point.
Then the letters will enter autoplay mode. Furthermore, if you want to read it faster while you're not eating, you can activate the skip text option in the options. Afterwards, every button press will reveal an entire line of text immediately. All these tips have been archived inside the help menu, which will be periodically updated as we go along. If you have any questions, don't forget to check the information there. Got it.
Right. Well, I don't have popcorn, unfortunately. But I have soda. It's not Osmanthus cakes, but it will have to do. But yeah. Kanbekya's in a bit of trouble. Just a teensy bit. Not... Well, his first bit of trouble is having Chang Byun-min on his team. The lunatic. His second bit of trouble is apparently, he has to work a lot with gangs. So he doesn't really get a break. But even more importantly, anytime he's in danger, his second personality takes over. How did he get the second personality? That's something I hope we find out. But also, it doesn't seem like... It doesn't seem like a wise life choice to put yourself in positions where you're frequently in danger. If you don't want to lose control of your body, and also, I guess if you don't want to write the report, like maybe he's a cop because he wanted to put his propensity for damage wreaking for good, but also 8 deaths, and his complaint is 8,000 words, 12,000 words. You know what though? To be fair, dude, I don't like writing reports either. Let's move on and see how Alicia is holding up. Alicia, in case you needed the reminder, is Carlos's sister.
My name is Alicia. I'm 18 years old. I was born and raised in Mexico. I have a little brother named Carlos, who's 9 years younger than me.
Oh, hey. Carlos had like just turned 18 when we started his letter, so this is back in time.
He is the only family I have left. We're both orphans. The orphanage was so poor that they couldn't afford to send us to school. I had to come out and make some money so that I could keep my brother in school. If I could make enough money, I thought that maybe we could eventually move out of the orphanage and start a new life. Just the two of us. I had heard that America was a place full of chances for everyone. That was where I should go. A travel agency inside Mexico City had told me that crossing the desert, stowing away on a train, or getting across the Rio Bravo were all very risky and dangerous. Therefore, they had established a route via the ocean. Even though it would be slightly more expensive, it was guaranteed to be safe. And everyone who had taken this route had gotten to America. I spent the money I had saved for months and bought myself a ship ticket. There were several other young girls with me on the ship.
This is already not heading into good places.
We were locked inside a small room and were not allowed to go out. At first, we thought that it was just so that people wouldn't find us being smuggled across the border. But it had taken so long. We must have arrived by now. Half a month had passed and we were still at sea. We were finally certain that we had been conned. After about a month, the ship finally arrived at a port. We were then moved to a building near the port where guards watched us. Where were we now? Which country was this? Were we going to be sold? As slaves? Or prostitutes?
I crouched in the corner with my mind running wild. Oh, it's a family tree. Good. Every once in a while, a guard would come in and take a sobbing girl out. There were fewer and fewer people left in the room. Finally, there was only me and another girl named Julie left. Julie suddenly stood up and tried to hit the guard at the door facing us. She was holding a rock in her hand, but she didn't succeed. The rock fell to the ground, and her arm was grabbed so tightly by the guard that it looked like it was about to snap. She looked at me with a pleading look in her eyes. I really wanted to help her. I didn't want to be sold either. I was too scared. The guard had a gun. Everyone outside had a gun. Julie lowered her head. When she lifted it back up, the guard was screaming like a pig being slaughtered. Half of his missing ear was in Julie's mouth. Then I heard a few gunshots, along with loud cursing. Julie fell down and stopped moving. Her eyes were open so wide, as if she had just come out of a nightmare. The injured guard slammed the door angrily, with one hand covering his ear. Soon another person came in. This one seemed to be nicer. He had half a bottle of beer with him. He sat down at the door, looked at me, and then looked at Julie, who was lying in her own blood. He didn't seem to care about what had happened at all. An hour later, his bottle was empty, and he had fallen asleep in the chair. It was pretty late. Maybe I wouldn't be taken away until tomorrow. I looked at Julie again and remembered what she had told me there on the ocean. I want to become a singer in America. I want to be a star. She wasn't bragging. She had a really beautiful voice. She had also said, I know if I do my best, my dream will come true. I would never forget the look on her face when she said it. Her eyes had been filled with hope and anticipation for the future. I was very jealous of how lively and full of joy Julie was. I was very jealous of the how lively and full of joy Julie was. Need accuracy. Whoops. The guard turned a little in the chair and his gun dropped from his waist, sliding towards my feet. Was it a hint from the Lord? I reached out for the gun, but I jerked my hand back like I'd been shocked when I touched it. No! No! I couldn't! What if I ended up like Julie? I held the cross tight in front of my chest and started praying. Oh, Heavenly Father. Jesus said, ask and you shall receive. We trust that you know what our true needs are. You recognize what our true feelings are. You understand what situations we are in. Now we shall ask for what our heart truly desires. Oh God, give heed to my prayer. Show us your mercy. Amen. 5 minutes passed. 10 minutes passed. 30 minutes passed. The guard began snoring. The gun was right next to my hand. Maybe this really had been a hint from the Lord? I finally picked up the gun in hesitation. It felt so heavy in my hand. Mom, Dad, please bless me. Carlos, please bless me. Heavenly Father, please bless me. I pushed the door open. There was no one in the hallway outside. It was so quiet. The only thing I could hear was my own heart beating wildly in my chest. The building had only one floor. After taking one turn, I could see the main gate. There were several guards at the gate too. All of them had guns. There was a black man and 2 Asians. The rest of them all had pale skin. How could I get out? With just one handgun. I checked the gun in my hand once again. There were no bullets in the gun. There were no bullets? I collapsed at the floor. I wasn't feeling afraid anymore. I just felt utter desperation. Soon the guards noticed me and dragged me back into the room. This time, they cuffed up my feet so that I wouldn't be able to escape again. Julie's body was still lying there. Flies began hovering around her face, but they didn't seem to have any intention to clean up the scene. Would I end up like Julie? Was this my final destiny? Heavenly Father, please answer me. Alicia. Well, that's interesting. We have gone back in time because this has been when Alicia just left. Or, well, not just left, but because she'd been working for a few months to save up money for the ship ticket. But Carlos had said that she was still writing her. She was still writing him, and the last letter she had gotten was from Hong Kong. The last letter he had gotten from her was in Hong Kong. Here, we're told that she got conned in Mexico City while was trying to go to America, and now she's in a cell with a dead body. So we've gone back in time. Do we change Alicia's fate so that Carlos ends up going to Hong Kong? Let's find out. Okay, well, this one's easy. There were no bullets in the gun. If Kang Baekya's not shot, then... If Kang Baekya is not shot, then his second personality doesn't come out. He doesn't kill anyone. He does not have to write a report. The thing with Alicia is... Also, I'm very surprised that these aren't, like, in conflict. There were no bullets in the gun, but a bullet flew out without me seeing it. We're trying to not hurt the son of the gang leader, so I'm gonna move the bullet away from Kang Baekya. And hopefully Alicia can get out. Let's see if this gets us the ending. There was still a bullet. The nails fastening the vent register had been shattered by the bullet, and had bounced off a few meters into a corner. After a tumble and a half, I fell and smashed into the white carpet along with the vent register. 5 meters away, the junkie was pointing his gun at me. He looked really scared, and his hand was shaking. Don't you dare move. This was serious. I dropped my gun and held my hands behind my head. I did as he said and sat together with the other hostages. Shit. I was going to owe Unit 3 another big favor. Ooh. A bullet that had come from the door hit me in the stomach. I slowly collapsed to the ground with my back against the wall. I could feel the warmth slowly leaving my body. The last thing I saw was some people arguing at the door. They were all strangers. Tears rolled down my face. It was true what they said. The people you wanted to see the most in your last moments would be your own family. Well, this was kinda good for Kang Baekya. This was very bad for Alicia. But even if we leave it like that, Carlos's life still exists. So let's go and fix it. Okay. If the bullet flew out without her seeing it, she probably did not shoot it. But if I switch this to before the clang, maybe the clang will be the bullet. Let's give that a go. No, Alicia still dies. Alicia still dies. Her thing didn't change, so she still died. Where were the bullets? Wait. I'd taken out the magazine yesterday while doing maintenance. I must have forgotten to bring it along earlier. Shit! Must have been too tired recently. My memory was getting really bad. Maybe in a couple of years I would have Alzheimer's disease. Alzheimer's disease, also referred to simply as Alzheimer's, is a chronic neurodegenerative disease that usually starts slowly and worsens over time. Typical symptoms include dementia, problems with language, memory loss, etc. It most often begins in people over 65 years of age, hence the slang old-timers disease. Its full name was Alzheimer's disease. It is a chronic neurodegenerative disease that usually starts slowly and worsens over time. I'm not repeating myself. Typical symptoms include dementia, problems with language, memory loss, etc. If you are still reading this carefully, then you are probably suffering from old-timers disease. I should probably read ahead to the end, instead of reacting to each thing line by line. It's true, I am old. I paged Minjun through a radio that there was a change of plan and we needed to fall back. I heard a loud boom coming through the air duct behind me just as I climbed out of the vent. Only later did I learn that the room with the target had an inexplicable explosion. The investigation afterwards indicated that everyone in that room had been burnt to ashes. There were no survivors. I never imagined that forgetting the magazine would turn out to have saved my life. I suppose today wasn't such a shitty day after all. His life was saved, he didn't have to write a report, but the people died, so it was still a bad ending. Kang Baekya cannot win. Not yet. Okay. Let's take the bullet away from Alicia, because the bullet kills Alicia. Actually, what happens if I take everything away from her? Neil's fastening vent register shattered. He falls out. Kang Baekya gets shot. I have heard 멍청하기 somewhere before. Pretty sure that just means idiot. Not Korean. Please feel free to correct me in the comments. 멍청하기? But I'm not sure where. I am learning vocabulary from this game. Anyway, we get taken. Kang Baekya gets taken over by the slightly shorter person. By the fighting game character. By the JoJo's. Ah, here we are. When I got back on my feet, I somehow had a gun in my hand. Click. The trigger kept clicking, but no bullets were fired. I forgot to put the magazine back yesterday after doing some maintenance. I had noticed that when I was still in the vent. But this idiot... Although, hand-to-hand combat would only mean one thing. My opponent was going to suffer even more. I began to sympathize with the poor bastard. As I had lost control of my body, and I'd been so exhausted, the view before my eyes was starting to get shaky and blurry. In my skipping vision, I glanced Minjun waiting for a chance for his best shot from the roof of the building across the street. Oh, so Minjun is the subordinate with the sniper rifle. So we do want a bullet here. We definitely want a bullet here. he could see everything inside the room in his scope on the sniper rifle. I punched the junkie on the nose. His nose was broken into an asymmetric shape, and blood was coming out of both his nostrils. However, the junkie seemed to become more lucid after the punch. He looked outside the window following the direction of my eyes. He had noticed Minjun too. A clear view in front of the window. A perfect spot for a sniper. However, I didn't know anything about today's plan. The junkie saw an opening and suddenly grabbed my body. He then quickly turned around and forced my back towards the window. The bullet shattered the window glass, and in the next instant, it pierced through my chest as well. The strong force flipped me over and destroyed my lungs. I couldn't breathe anymore. I stood helplessly in the corner of the dark room, and my sight was fading. Eventually, I lost all connection to the world. Well, that's definitely a bad end. Now that I'd made up my mind, I had to follow through. The Lord would bless me. I raised the gun and tried to shoot at one of the Asian men. The trigger felt so heavy, and the recoil almost knocked the gun out of my hand. Unfortunately, I didn't hit anyone. Instead, I had only succeeded in exposing myself. I had to keep shooting. I used up the 6 bullets quickly. I still didn't hit anyone. Their firepower was way stronger. They aimed their shots at my feet. I had to keep crawling back. How could I possibly win a shootout? Yeah, that did not turn out well. So we definitely want the bullet here for Kangbek. For Kangbek, yeah? Because Minjun's waiting to shoot. But we want the bullet to fly out. The thing with the gun is it's very generic, right? It could be the junkie's gun, it could be Kangbekya's gun. The bullet can come from either of their guns. It could come from Minjun in the sniper position across the street. But we can only move the things right there. So let's give this combination of things a go. Let's take the bullets away from Alicia. I accidentally knocked down a ladder that had been put against the wall. The guard in the room woke up. He stumbled into the hallway, still quite sleepy. I suddenly had an idea. Hands up. Don't make a sound or I'll shoot. I pointed the gun at his head. He held his hands up high and began sweating. Walk to the gate slowly. Do not speak to them. Do not lower your hands. Do not turn around! I pressed the gun against the back of his head, and we walked slowly towards the gate. My palms were completely wet with sweat. Only I knew that I was more nervous than he. When we were only a few hundred meters away from the port, I smashed his head with the gun as hard as I could and knocked him out. And then I ran away as fast as possible. I didn't dare look back. There were still plenty of people on the street. Many stores were still open, even in the middle of the night. People were shooting me strange looks when I ran past them. They all seemed to be Asians. But I didn't dare stop and talk to them. Julie had been right about one thing. Dreams did come true when you did your best. I didn't know how long I had run, but I couldn't even take one more step. I collapsed into a bunch of paper boxes stacked at the corner of an alley. The bullet hit the vent register. Then it happened to deflect and hit my shoulder. What a wonderful day for me. Blood was streaming down my arm and dripping onto the vent. Then it dropped onto the carpet of the room below. The white carpet? Wait. What is this? The target's steps were getting closer. Then he stopped. I didn't need to look. The bastard must be standing right beneath the vent. Soon he would lift his head, look up, and notice me. There was the sound of the window glass shattering. Then it was the sound of flesh being destroyed. Ugh. Mission complete. Everything went as planned. Well, almost. I stood next to the junkie's body, which was missing half of his head. Oh shit. He was supposed to just lose a leg or something. This was a little different from what the old man had demanded. Moonjun had just rushed over from the building across the street. He dropped to his knees with a thud as soon as he saw me. I'm sorry, Lieutenant. It was my mistake. I missed. It looked like he hadn't forgotten the last time when he didn't follow the plan exactly, and had to write a 200,000 word report. And you're complaining about a 12,000 word report? If apologizing was good enough, what will we need the cops for then? That's a very good question, Kalmbekya. I checked the junkie's pocket. There was only 50,000 won, and half a pack of Marlboros. South Korean money is fascinating to me. I've only been to Korea twice in my life, and the only time I was in Korea when I was able to make my own decisions and pay my own way in things, I stayed entirely in Incheon Airport. And so during that time, when I was looking at the prices, I was there on a trip back from Japan. So while looking at those prices and comparing it to the Japanese yen I had in my hand, I came to the conclusion that South Korean currency feels a lot like Monopoly money. Because this 50,000 won, if you were to look at it as like 50,000 yen, that would be about like $500 US. 50,000 won is $50 US. I'm sure I'm probably going to put like a correction in like subtitles here, but the big numbers for this relatively small amount just always feels like play money to me. But yes, 50,000 won. Junkie did not have much at all. 50,000 won and half a pack of Marlboros. I stuffed the money into Minjun's pocket and lit a cigarette for myself. Well, Tuero-sung, which was the name of the junkie, was just trash in this society, and he deserved to die. After witnessing such a bloody ending, maybe his loser buddies would learn to behave a little too. Yeah, maybe it wasn't too bad after all. I touched Minjun's head. Don't worry about it. Well done. Well, you could tell that this was Alicia's best ending because she got out. I kind of wasn't expecting it to be Kalmbekya's best ending. Because, well, the sound of flesh being destroyed and he was shot. But he didn't let the little guy inside his head out. So I guess that's rank S for both of them.
You've solved Kang Beckia's problem, but don't forget about Chang Kyung-min's letter from earlier. Oh, right! It almost slipped my mind. I was so busy eating Osmanthus cakes and watching the movie. Chang Kyung-min's is more of a psychological drama. I like action thrillers.
So we've solved Kangbeka and Alicia. It looks like there's still one more ending I need to get for that nice shiny star. And somehow this jumped all the way back to the bad ending. It was S before, but I guess it jumped all the way to the bad ending because in solving Kang's problems, we locked out two of Gyeongmin's endings. We unlocked two, but we locked out two as well. So now we have to solve it all over again. He is extremely rough, even cruel with the criminals. Well, now we know that's because he's got a second personality, and also because he's a dick. And having the fire truck is good. For Gyeongmin, because it helps save the husband and wife that he was not really supposed to address, but I think it's probably Unit 3. But the fire truck catches them. Pregnant wife becomes not pregnant anymore, unfortunately. So let's give this a go. Oh, wait, no. Carlos's ending did not change. I presume it's because it decided, yeah, you already unlocked this ending. Which, we'll go back and take a look at it. Who the hell would be calling me at this godforsaken moment? I turned around and answered the phone quietly. It was Lieutenant Kang. Lieutenant briefly asked me about the situation and told me to hand the phone over to the husband. It was the Bungmun gang. What? Is it true? Oh my. Oh my. That's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. He hung up the phone, dropped the knife, and hugged his wife, sobbing uncontrollably. Sue, it's all okay now. We can have our lives back. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. It was all my fault. What just happened? I took my phone back from the man, confused. A strong gust of wind blew past us and the man lost his balance. I quickly reacted, took a big step forward and grabbed him, trying to pull him back. But I was pulled over instead. We fell off the ledge together. The world was spinning. It was 10 floors off the ground. No one would survive if we hit the ground. I swung my right arm out as hard as I could towards the roof ledge. Something flew out of my coat. It was a white ribbon I had wrapped around my forearm, with a small spearhead tied to its end. He's a fucking fighting game character, Gyeongmin. What person thinks to do this in the modern day? The spearhead wrapped around the metal bar on the ledge a few times and tightened the ribbon. It was my secret weapon. I called it my tail. For a moment, I let out a sigh of relief, thinking that we were safe. But the bar couldn't hold our weight and began to bend. I tightened my left fist and grabbed the man's shirt harder. I burned the last drop of energy inside of me with all of the adrenaline I had, and forced every single muscle cell to release all of their power. The mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. Justice was not something that I only talked about! I threw him up towards the roof. I want to see this. We were quickly moving away from each other in opposite directions. The metal bar finally gave out and it was torn away from the concrete on the ledge. I began falling with it. I could hear the wind gushing in my ears. This is my justice. Well, I got rank S for both of them, and we found out that he truly is a fighting game character. Like, normally in Gyeongmin's silhouette, there's like a ribbon, I feel like, that is not shown up. Anyway, to look at Carlos's ascending. Carlos walked over and his cell phone fell to the ground. Someone quickly ran past me and bumped into my arm. My phone was knocked out of my hand. It stopped at another man's feet. The fire trucks hadn't arrived yet. However, this man in a black trench coat seemed to have summoned a lot of people to help put out the fire. He picked up my phone with his left hand and saw my sister's picture. Then he asked me in English what my relationship was with her. There was no expression on his face the entire time. After hearing my explanation, he tossed the phone back to me. Then he said, "Come back here tomorrow." "You know my sister?" I walked up to him in excitement, but a huge man in a black suit stopped me. The man in the trench coat looked like he wasn't going to answer any of my questions, and turned his attention back to his men in the fire. The suit guy seemed like he was twice my size. He looked down upon me, and I could see a deep scar on his face. Fine. I would come back tomorrow. Still, I never thought I would find a clue about Alicia just like this. The Lord must be blessing us. Sister, we would meet again. We would soon meet again. I just knew it. So, we had gotten the hint that the burning building belonged to a triad. And so Carlos is going to get involved with the gangs. Possibly the same gangs that were going to sell his sister. We've also got 2 more letters. It looks like we're going to head back to Jimmy and Lee Wen, because that's got a green border. But before we call it a video for today, it's been a while since we've taken a look at the profiles. So let's see what new information we have. Starting with Wen Zha Ren. Okay, we've got 2 relationships added here. Li Wen, his student and his neighbor, and Yang Yang, his childhood best friend. But more importantly, at 35, attempted suicide at home by burning coal in a sealed room. Saved. At 35, became the art teacher at Yingnan High School. At 35, robbed. A lot of things happen when you are 35. Carlos. Education, barely any. Is that new? That might be new. Pretty sure that's new. Alicia, whose picture we still haven't seen yet. But Mexico Missing Persons Clearinghouse, that's her ID paper. Other names: Ada Jordan, Agru Elizabeth, Belly Anderson. Age when angered. What's angered? Gonna have to look this up later. Belly Anderson is a male. Hair color. Well, Alicia has dark red hair, but more importantly, Belly Anderson has red hair with brown eyes. Alicia has wine red eyes. Huh. Sinaloa, Durango, Veracruz is where Alicia's from. Belly Anderson is from Durango. At 18, she was kidnapped and taken onto a human trafficking ship and escaped in Hong Kong. That's the only information we have on Alicia right now. Meanwhile, we have pictures for both Chang Kyung-min and Kang Baek-ya now. At 23, Managed to resolve a hostage situation caused by domestic conflict. Here's his fucking fighting game weapon. Boy's just waiting to show up in Samurai Showdown. Or Toshinden. It can't be Soul Calibur. He's too modern for Soul Calibur. And I guess he's too modern for Samurai Showdown as well. Are there any modern fighting games? Like fighting games set in the modern day and age that have weapons? And I don't mean like Yoshimitsu with his sword. Like I mean like a full-on weapons fighter. That 3D weapons fighter. Which, okay, yeah, Samurai Showdown's not 3D either. But yes, no. Boy is a fighting game character who's just waiting to show up in the next anime fighter. And Kanbekya! Favorite food, McRonald's Spicy Burger. People he dislikes, Chang Kyung-min. And his other personality. His relationship with Chang Kyung-min is as the rookie subordinate, and his relationship with Minjun. Minjun's his subordinate, who's excellent with sniper rifles. Another relationship he has is Captain Gong, the captain of the Busan police station, who's often referred to as the old man. At 29, failed to free the hostage in a gang-related hostage situation. Not held responsible for what happened. Okay, they mentioned that Kang was young. I did not think he was 29, though. I thought he'd be in his 30s. Not held responsible for what happened. The important part was that he didn't have to write reports. We still have 7 characters we've yet to meet. But for now, it looks like next time we're going back to our high school melodrama. For now, though, have a good night. Pray to God. It doesn't always have to be at midnight. Pretty sure some of these did not happen. Alicia's was at midnight. Kanbekya didn't seem like he prayed at midnight. But then again, maybe they are all praying after the fact. So just pray to God at midnight. And offers up some popcorn while you're at it. It's the polite thing to do. We'll see you next time.